An asteroid is threatening Earth, and it has a real surprise in store for us. New research shows that the danger of Apophis hitting Earth could be greater than previously thought. Make sure to stay until the end to find out if Apophis poses a real threat. Warm welcome, everyone. Imagine you're planning a trip. You pack your suitcase, check the route across the Alps, and look forward to visiting Italy. But then shortly before departure, you scrape past the side mirror of another car with yours. Suddenly, everything is different. You may even have to cancel the trip. The same could happen to the asteroid Apophis, except that in its case, the Earth is the travel destination, or rather, the collision target, and we humans would be the involuntary hosts. To help me reach 100,000 subscribers by then, please feel free to follow the channel. It's absolutely free. You'll never miss a new science video again, and you'll help me reach my big goal. Thanks, guys. Apophis, named after the Egyptian god of chaos, is an asteroid that has been causing a stir in the astronomical community since its discovery in 2004. With a diameter of about 340 meters, or about the size of the Eiffel Tower, it was classified as a potentially hazardous object. Sounds threatening at first, doesn't it? But don't worry. This designation just means that the asteroid is large enough and close enough to Earth to deserve our attention. And speaking of close encounters, Apophis will pay us a visit on Friday, the 13th of April 2029. Of all days, on Friday, the 13th. Let me know in the comments if you are superstitious or if something curious happened to you on a Friday, the 13th. 2001. I don't really believe in that sort of thing, but when I encounter a black cat, I quickly look for a ladder to walk under, and then I smash a mirror. And the shards? What am I even talking about here? Back to Apophis. He will pay the Earth a visit, and a very, very close visit at that. The asteroid will race past us at a distance of just 31,000 kilometers. That sounds like a lot, but it's less than a tenth of the distance to the moon and closer than some of our satellites. In fact, Apophis will be visible to the naked eye during this flyby, a cosmic spectacle in a class of its own. And now it gets exciting. A new study by Professor Paul Wiegart from the University of Western Ontario has shown that the risk of a collision of Apophis with the Earth may have been underestimated. Wiegert specifically examined what could happen if a smaller asteroid collided with Apophis and changed its trajectory. His calculations showed that an object as small as 60 centimeters in diameter could be enough to put Apophis on a collision course with Earth after 2029. An object with a diameter of 3.4 meters would be necessary for a possible collision as early as 2029. Wiegart explains, the probability that an asteroid impact could deflect Apophis enough to create a danger of a future collision after 2029 is about 1 in a million, and only 1 in a billion that it could cause Apophis to collide with Earth in 2029. Phew, that sounds like a very low probability at first. Then we can still pack our bags calmly and head towards Brenner. But we know, in space, nothing is impossible. And if we have learned one thing from history, it is that even unlikely cosmic events sometimes occur. Just ask the dinosaurs. Oh, moment, we can no longer ask them. But what would happen if Apophis actually hit the Earth? Let's hope we never have to find out. But for all you disaster movie fans out there, an impact from Apophis would release an energy equivalent to more than 1,000 megatons of TNT. It would be like detonating hundreds of nuclear bombs at once. The devastation would extend over a radius of hundreds of kilometers. Fortunately, this would not be nearly as devastating as the asteroid impact that wiped out the dinosaurs 65 million years ago, but it would still be a disaster of unimaginable proportions. But no panic. Because even if Apophis were accidentally put on a collision course with Earth, we would still have options to defend ourselves. Do you remember the DART mission by NASA? A spacecraft was deliberately directed into an asteroid to change its trajectory. A similar procedure could also be applied to Apophis. Wiegart says, it is difficult to determine which other deflection methods would work, but scientists are intensely considering our options. And there are more ideas on how to divert an asteroid. From the brute force method of shooting it down with a nuclear bomb to the surprisingly subtle idea of painting one side of the asteroid black. This would cause it to absorb more solar radiation, which could shift its center of gravity and thus change its trajectory. The idea of painting an asteroid black to deflect it from its orbit is based on a concept called the Yarkovsky effect. This effect describes how solar radiation can influence the orbit of a rotating body in space. Sounds crazy? Welcome to the world of space defense. The flyby of Apophis in 2029 will therefore be a scientific event of invaluable worth. Plans are already being made to use spacecraft and satellites to examine the asteroid at close range. This is truly a unique opportunity to learn more about the composition and structure of asteroids. Vigert sums it up: Apophis's upcoming close flyby is a natural milestone for our planet as we enter an era where we as a global community have the ability to avoid catastrophic asteroid impacts like the one that may have wiped out the dinosaurs. Even though the probability of an impact is extremely low, the story of Apophis shows us how important it is to keep a close eye on the space around us. Who knows, maybe one day we will discover an asteroid that could really be dangerous. Or Apophis will be deflected and we will be glad that we have learned how to deal with such cosmic threats thanks to asteroids like Apophis. Interestingly, Apophis is not the only asteroid that will pay us a visit in the near future. NASA has a whole list of objects that will fly close to Earth in the coming years and decades. None of them pose an immediate danger, but they all offer valuable opportunities for science. And a particularly fascinating aspect of the story of Apophis is how it demonstrates our abilities to predict and observe celestial objects. When Apophis was discovered in 2004, there were initially fears that it would collide with the Earth in 2029. But with each new observation and the resulting calculations, it became clear that it would miss us, albeit only by a very, very narrow margin. This precision in astronomical observation and calculation is truly impressive. Imagine throwing a tennis ball and being able to predict exactly where it will land in a week. And this is the case even though the ball is constantly in motion and influenced by various forces. It is similar with asteroids like Apophis, except that we are talking about cosmic distances and time periods here. And speaking of time, do you actually know how long Apophis has been on its journey? The scientists don't know for sure either, but asteroids like it are often relics from the time of the formation of the solar system. This means that Apophis could very well be 4.5 billion years old. And how exactly do we observe asteroids like Apophis? There are various methods for that. On the one hand, astronomers use optical telescopes to photograph it and determine its position in the sky. On the other hand, radio telescopes are also used to send radar waves and measure their echo. From the time it takes for the echo to return and the strength of the signal, scientists can then determine the distance, size, and even the shape of the asteroid very precisely. These observations are super important because the more precisely we know the orbit of Apophis, the better we can assess whether it could pose a threat in the future. And if it does happen, we would still have enough time to take countermeasures. And speaking of countermeasures, did you know that there is a dedicated department at NASA that focuses solely on asteroid defense? It's called the Planetary Defense Coordination Office. Sounds a bit like something out of a science fiction movie, doesn't it? But it is absolutely real and shows how seriously science takes the potential danger posed by asteroids. Fortunately, we still have plenty of time to prepare for the visit of Apophis. And who knows, maybe its flyby will mark the beginning of a new era in asteroid research and defense. One thing is for sure, it will be a spectacular astronomical event that we can all observe with our own eyes. So mark April 13th, 2029 in your calendar. Speaking of collisions, a super unusual event occurred at CERN and it seems that we have discovered a completely new physics. You can find out everything about it in the video in the top right-hand corner. Be sure to click on it and get your galactic existential crisis. And if you still haven't had enough of science, then check out some of the older videos where I also report on super exciting topics. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next video. That is, if no asteroid strikes before then. Take care, folks.